Do you ever wake up wondering if your most meaningful days are behind you? Are you afraid that turning 75 means your life's richest chapters have already been written? Stop those thoughts right now. The truth about life after 75 is far more beautiful than society lets on, and it's time someone told you. Please stay tuned and listen to this entire story till the very end. This is a crucial message the universe has sent directly to you, and you need to hear every word right now. Before we dive into this life-changing conversation, I'd love to know who I'm talking to. Where are you watching this from? Vermont, Florida, Arizona, Canada. I genuinely want to connect with my community of wisdom-rich folks who refuse to let their birth certificates dictate their vitality. Let's talk about romance and connection after 75. What they certainly don't tell you about life after 75 is that the flame of romance doesn't simply extinguish. It often burns with the purer, more meaningful light. Here in Burlington, Vermont, 78-year-old Martha Simmons starts each day watching the sun rise over Lake Champlain. People think we just sit around waiting. She laughs, stirring her morning coffee. But I'm more awake to life now than I was at 50. My Aunt Gloria Martinez, 79, shares my Harold and I have been dancing in our living room every Friday night for 52 years. But honestly, it means more now than when we were young. When he takes my hand these days, there's a lifetime of knowing each other in that touch. For widowed or single seniors, new romance often arrives unexpectedly, like spring flowers through Colorado snow. Evelyn Thomas, 81, from a retirement community in Boca Raton, blushes when she mentions her gentleman caller. We met in the library here. Can you believe at 81, I still get butterflies? Last week, he wrote me a poem about my eyes. I haven't been written a poem since 1962. And yes, let's talk about what's often whispered about in hushed tones: physical intimacy. A National Institute on Aging study revealed that 42% of adults over 75 remain sexually active. More importantly, 63% consider physical affection and intimacy essential to their well-being. Society thinks passion has an expiration date, notes Dr. Melissa Rivera, a gerontologist from the University of Arizona. But our research shows that the quality of intimate connections can actually deepen after 70, even if the frequency or physical expression changes. For some, like James and David Cooper Williams, who recently celebrated their 40th anniversary in Provincetown, Massachusetts, physical connection remains central. We just adjust and adapt like we've always done, James explains with a wink. The body changes, but the heart knowing exactly who you want to be with? That doesn't. Even for those without romantic partners, the expression of affection remains vital. Weekly hugs from friends, holding hands during walks, or dancing at the Scottsdale Senior Center's monthly social. These physical connections release the same beneficial hormones at 85 that they did at 25. As Eleanor Roosevelt wisely noted, beautiful young people are accidents of nature, but beautiful old people are works of art. The canvas of romance after 75 may have a few more brushstrokes, but the painting is often more beautiful for it. The quiet revolution of aging. Like a well-aged maple syrup from Quebec's eastern townships, life after 75 develops a richness and depth that youth simply cannot possess. What they don't tell you is that your perception shifts dramatically. The morning coffee at your favorite diner in Scottsdale becomes not just a habit but a ritual. The Saturday Farmers Market in Portland, Maine isn't just an errand. It's a celebration of community that you now have the wisdom to truly appreciate. According to Dr. William Chun at Boston University's Longevity Institute, brain scans of healthy seniors show a fascinating phenomenon. The emotional regulation centers of the brain actually strengthen after 70, allowing many seniors to experience greater emotional stability and appreciation for life's simple pleasures. This explains why 81% of seniors report finding joy in everyday moments, compared to only 53% of middle-aged adults. 2 paths: finding purpose with or without family. For Dorothy Adams in Minneapolis, her days revolve around FaceTime calls with grandchildren scattered from Seattle to Boston. When my grandson Tommy shows me his science project through the screen, it's like the whole world lights up, she says, adjusting her glasses. These small connections have become my anchor. Meanwhile in Tucson, Richard Geller, 82, childless and widowed, has found purpose in different ways. People assume I'm lonely because I don't have kids or grandkids, he says while watering the community garden he started. But I've become Grandpa Rich to half the neighborhood. Last Tuesday, 3 different families brought me dinner. Found family can be just as sweet as biological connections. The research supports both paths. Dr. Elaine Vasquez of the National Institute on Aging found that seniors who create meaningful connections, whether with family or community, show remarkably similar levels of contentment. The key isn't who you connect with, explains Dr. Vasquez, but that you connect at all. The truth about loss and finding new balance. Let's talk about something that feels like a Maine winter, cold, and sometimes harsh. After 75, loss becomes a more frequent visitor. Nearly 68% of seniors over 75 report experiencing the death of at least one close friend in the past year. It's like watching familiar stars disappear from your night sky, one by one. Harold Johnson from Augusta feels this keenly. The hardest part of Tuesdays now is no one calls me for our weekly chess game since Mike passed, he shares while sitting on his porch swing. But you know what? I started teaching my neighbor's kid how to play. He's terrible, Harold chuckles, but he's getting better. This resembles what gerontologists call emotional recycling, the process of channeling grief into new connections. Like the prairie grasses of Nebraska that need periodic fires to rejuvenate. Sometimes loss creates space for unexpected growth. Your body whispers, then talks, then shouts. Remember when you could shovel the Denver snow without thinking twice? Now your knees have opinions about everything. Your body, like an old pickup truck on Montana back roads, starts to rattle in new places. It's like my body and I have had to renegotiate our relationship, jokes Mabel Washington, 79, while stretching at her senior yoga class in Baltimore. We're still friends, but now we have to compromise more. This isn't just folksy wisdom, it's science. By 75, most adults have experienced approximately 20% decrease in muscle mass compared to their younger years. Yet remarkably, studies show that seniors who engage in regular light exercise, like mall walking in air-conditioned Phoenix galleries or chair yoga at the Tampa Community Center, can regain up to 30% of lost strength within just 6 months. The great unburdening. What no one tells you about passing 75 is the glorious freedom of no longer caring what others think. Like taking off tight shoes after a long day at the Branson music shows, there's relief in setting down the burden of others' expectations. I used to worry about what the neighbors would say if I painted my mailbox purple, says Edith Klein, 83, of Sarasota. Now I think, I'm 83, who has time for beige. Her mailbox, for the record, is now a vibrant purple with yellow polka dots. This psychological unburdening isn't imaginary. Research from Northwestern University shows that after 70, the brain regions associated with social anxiety actually become less reactive. You've earned this freedom after decades of worrying about fitting in. Like finally reaching the summit of a long Colorado hike and getting to enjoy the view. The wisdom economy. Here's something society keeps quiet. Your wisdom has immense value, like a Vermont maple during sugaring season. You've weathered economic downturns from the oil crisis to the Great Recession. You've seen technologies come and go like New England seasons. Frank Rodriguez, 81, volunteers at a small business incubator in San Antonio. These young entrepreneurs think they've invented everything, he says with a wink. Last week, I showed a startup kid how his revolutionary inventory system was basically what we used at the department store in 1972, just without the computers. Saved him months of mistakes. This mentorship has measurable impact. Businesses advised by senior mentors show 35% higher 3-year survival rates than those without such guidance. Your experience isn't outdated, it's a treasure map. Finding your rhythm in the fourth quarter. Like a New Orleans jazz musician who's been playing for decades, you now understand when to play and when to rest. The quiet afternoon nap isn't laziness, it's wisdom. The morning routine of coffee and crosswords at your kitchen table in Chicago isn't boring, it's centering. I used to think relaxing was wasting time, admits Walter Peterson, 77, former school principal in Cincinnati. Now I understand that sitting on my porch watching cardinals at the feeder isn't doing nothing. It's doing exactly what I should be doing at this moment. This natural slowing has cognitive benefits. Neuroscientists have discovered that the contemplative state many seniors enjoy activates the brain's default mode network, the same region associated with creativity, memory integration, and meaning-making. Your afternoon, doing nothing, might actually be your brain's most productive time. The spiritual awakening that surprises. For many, like Janet Barnes who walks the beaches of Kennebunkport, collecting shells each morning, the years after 75 bring an unexpected spiritual depth. I was never particularly religious, she admits, but now I feel connected to something larger than myself. It's not about church buildings, though I do attend the little chapel down the street. It's about finally understanding how everything connects. This experience is remarkably common. Studies from the University of Chicago Divinity School show that 65% of adults over 75 report increased spiritual awareness compared to their middle years. This spirituality takes many forms, from formal religious participation to finding the sacred in a Michigan sunrise or in the quiet moments of a Santa Fe evening. A different kind of future planning. At 75 plus, your relationship with the future changes like Chicago weather, suddenly and completely. You're less likely to plan 5 years ahead, but more likely to fully inhabit today. I used to have a 5-year plan, a 10-year plan, says Robert Thompson, 84, watching his grandchildren play in a Charlotte park. Now I have a today plan. Today, I'll read a good book. Today, I'll call my sister in Oregon. Today, I'll eat the good ice cream, not the low-fat stuff. This present-focused orientation isn't giving up, it's tuning in. Psychological research indicates that this present orientation correlates strongly with reported life satisfaction among older adults. It's like finally learning to dance to the actual music playing, not the song you think should be playing. The secret of mental sharpness that defies expectations. Here's what frightens many approaching 75. The fear that their mind will betray them, that they'll become irrelevant, forgotten, a burden on their families. Society loves to paint pictures of inevitable decline, but the reality is far more empowering. Margaret Chun, 79, from her art studio in Santa Barbara, challenges every stereotype. People see my age and assume I'm slowing down mentally, she says while adding finishing touches to her latest oil painting. Last month, I learned Photoshop. My 25-year-old granddaughter said I picked it up faster than she did. The financial freedom that comes from letting go. One of the biggest anxieties about aging is money. Will there be enough? Will you become a financial burden? But what many don't expect is the profound shift in what enough actually means after 75. I spent 40 years climbing the financial ladder, shares Thomas Wright, 81, from his modest apartment overlooking Puget Sound. Now I realize I was carrying around this anxiety about money that was mostly about things I didn't even want anymore. I gave away half my furniture last year. You know what? I sleep better in this smaller space than I ever did in that big house. Eleanor Rodriguez, 83, from Phoenix, discovered this truth after downsizing. I used to think I needed a 6-burner stove. Now I cook amazing meals on 2 burners and use the money I save for my granddaughter's violin lessons, which brings me more joy. A fancy kitchen, or hearing her play Vivaldi. There's no contest. The unexpected renaissance of creativity. Perhaps the cruelest myth about aging is that creativity dies with youth. The truth. Many people experience their greatest creative flowering after 75, when the pressure to succeed finally lifts and authentic expression takes center stage. I started writing poetry at 77, admits Joseph Martinez from his cabin in the Colorado Rockies. My wife used to tease me that I couldn't even write a grocery list clearly, but something unlocked after I retired from being a school administrator. I've written 200 poems in 3 years. The local coffee shop displays them on their bulletin board. This creative awakening isn't unusual. Research from the Brookings Institution found that 34% of adults over 75 engage in some form of creative expression they never attempted in their younger years. Without the constraints of career demands or child-rearing responsibilities, many discover hidden talents that were buried under decades of practical living. Maria Santos, 79, started taking dance lessons in Miami after her husband passed. People said I was too old to learn salsa. 3 years later, I'm teaching beginner classes at the community center. When I dance, I feel 25 again, not because I'm trying to be young, but because joy has no age limit. The power of becoming the elder everyone seeks. Society may dismiss older adults, but within families and communities, those over 75 often become the most sought-after advisors. You've become the keeper of family stories, the voice of perspective when younger relatives face their storms. My phone rings more now than when I was 40, laughs Barbara Thompson, 81, from her kitchen in Portland, Oregon. My daughter calls when she's struggling with a teenager. My nephew asks for career advice. My neighbor wants to know how I kept my 50-year marriage strong. I've become the family oracle, and I actually love it. This role of elder wisdom keeper provides profound purpose. Anthropological studies show that cultures with strong elder reverence report higher levels of community well-being and lower rates of depression among all age groups. Your accumulated wisdom isn't just personally valuable, it's a community resource. Dr. James Liu from the Stanford Center on Longevity notes, seniors who embrace their role as family historians and wisdom sharers show significantly higher levels of life satisfaction. They understand they've become living libraries, and that knowledge gives their daily life deep meaning. The liberation from perfectionism that changes everything. The pressure to be perfect, the perfect parent, employee, spouse, citizen, can weigh on people for decades. But something magical happens after 75. Perfectionism loses its grip, replaced by a profound acceptance of life's beautiful imperfections. I spent 60 years trying to make the perfect Christmas dinner, shares Ruth Patterson, 84, from her kitchen in Nashville. Stressed about the turkey, obsessed over the decorations, exhausted myself trying to create magazine-worthy holidays. Last Christmas, I ordered takeout Chinese food and told everyone to bring whatever they wanted. It was the most relaxed, joyful Christmas our family ever had. This release from perfectionism isn't giving up, it's growing up. Research from Yale University Psychology Department shows that seniors who embrace good enough living report 40% less daily stress than their perfectionist peers. The irony: their relationships often become more perfect once they stop trying to be perfect. Kenneth Davis, 78, reflects from his woodworking shop in Vermont. I used to think every project had to be flawless. Now I leave little imperfections in my furniture, not because I'm careless, but because that's what makes each piece unique. Life's the same way. The dents and scratches tell the story. Remember, life after 75 isn't about fading away. It's about burning with a different, steadier light, like the lighthouse at Cape Cod that doesn't need to shout its importance, but simply stands, illuminating the way for others. Your story continues to unfold with each cup of coffee at the local diner, each phone call with a faraway friend, each moment of unexpected beauty. We'd love to hear your story. Subscribe to Vitality today. Our YouTube channel is dedicated to providing insightful stories and practical advice to make the golden years truly golden, through purposeful habits that support the health of the body, mind, and spirit.